Welcome. For this project, we'll be creating a fixed layout website using HTML with an external CSS style sheet. We'll be using Adobe Dreamweaver for this project. Now remember, when we're making websites, we're not working at just one document, like a JPEG or Microsoft Word document. We are going to make several documents and images that will be saved in our site folder. I've created a site folder for this project, and you should too, called movies_site. Now remember, you should not have any capital letters or spaces in this name. For a space, you would use underscore by clicking on Shift and holding the underscore button down. That's the button next to the 0. And no capital letters. Within this folder, my site folder, I've created an images folder and a CSS folder. We will keep a CSS document in here and our images within the images folder. For this website, I've chosen some vintage science fiction and horror movies. Now this is a movie website with movie previews and reviews, trailers. So I've chosen some of these vintage posters that I'll use in this. You should select at least 6 posters to use on your website. Now these should be the vertical posters, not the horizontal posters. I've also selected some background images I may use, some background textures, and another image that I may want to use in my website. But for your 6 main posters, they should be vertical posters. We'll talk more about the sizes later. Once again, our CSS folder, later on we will save a CSS file in there. Now when we're dealing with websites, we cannot just move things around, just keep moving documents around. Once you create the CSS files in the CSS folder, they should stay there. If you take them out, your website may be in danger of not working. The images that you use should remain in this images folder. We will create several pages that will be at this top level here, and they must stay there. If you move them around, it could cause trouble with your website. If you take them out of your root folder, your website will not display correctly. We will also create a template page that we can base our other pages upon. That template page will be stored in a folder that Dreamweaver will create for us. We eventually will have JavaScript folders, jQuery folders, and any other folders that we need for this website. The main thing to remember, I know I keep emphasizing it, the main thing to remember is to keep everything organized and in the correct place. Now for this project, our root folder will be on our desktop. You could also work from a flash drive, external hard drive, and as this project will not be published, we don't have to actually work on a server for this. But if this was a website being published, I could work on a local server or a remote server or a host server. Let's open Dreamweaver. You should have the Adobe Creative Cloud available through your school, and we're going to work on Dreamweaver. That's with the green box and the DW. It should already be installed. You can always check for updates here. I'm using a Mac, and I have placed a shortcut to that on my dock. Green box DW. I'm going to click and open up Dreamweaver, and it comes to this welcome screen. Before we create any new documents, the first thing we want to do is connect to that site folder. You should always connect to the site folder or root folder that you're working in. We can do that by going to Site, New Site. I'm going to give this site a name, and I'm going to call it the same thing as that folder, movies_site. Now I'm going to connect to my local site folder. I'm going to browse for that. Mine's on my desktop. Yours may be on a flash drive or wherever you've created that. Here's my movies site, and choose. Don't hit save yet. Now let's go to our advanced settings and local info. We're going to connect to our default images folder. Let's click here to browse for it. It should automatically take us to that movies site folder, and there's my images folder. I double click there and choose. And I will save this connection. Now whenever I save files, update files, add images and such, Dreamweaver will know where to put that, where to draw those links, where to save my CSS files. If I do not connect through that site correctly, then I may have trouble presenting my website. Now we're ready to make our first file for this project. We can go down here and say create new, or we can go up to Dreamweaver menu to the files and new. We're going to create a new document, and this is going to be an HTML template. We're going to call this layout none. We don't want any pre-made layouts. We want to make sure this is a HTML5 document. We don't have a CSS file ready to go, so we'll leave that, and we'll say create. Before we hit create, let's double check. New document, HTML template, none, and HTML5. Now this is going to look just like any other HTML document, but it's not a working document that we'd actually publish. This is a Dreamweaver template. When we will build this template just like a regular page, and we will create our other pages based on this template. The good thing about that is I can change my HTML on this template and update all my other pages. I can also access my CSS and other files through this template. So let's save that. File, save as. It's giving me this message: this template doesn't have any editable regions. Are you sure you want to continue? Yes, we're ready to continue. Okay. And I'm going to check to make sure I'm in the right place. Yes, I'm in my movie site. It's creating a templates folder for me. It's given it a name 10.dwt. That's Dreamweaver template. Well, I'm going to rename this to movie.dwt. That's my movie template.dwt in the templates folder, and save. Okay. Now if I look at my files panel, which should open automatically in Dreamweaver, the files window, that's a connection to that site, a visual connection. I can see there's my site folder, my CSS folder, my images folder. I can see all my images in here, and my template folder. Within that template folder is that movie template. We must make sure to keep that movie template in that folder, and we should not keep creating new templates. If you keep creating new templates, there will be some confusion. So please follow along and just create this one template for now. Eventually we will create one more template in this project. I have my properties window or properties panel open. We've used that in the last project, but with Dreamweaver it typically does not have that open right away. In order to open that, we would go to Windows and Properties. We will drag this folder or this tab down here, panel or window, whatever you call it. I'm going to highlight this area down here, and when I let go it should snap down there. And we use this last project. We'll probably use this in this project. And there's my template folder. In our next video we'll get started editing this.